Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined by my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection, Mr. Dan Plan. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, good to be back. Finally got some good internet service again.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here, too. Actually, I think our guest could probably even help you with that. He's pretty techie smart. He's from the Wausau area. Everybody knows him by QC Willy. William Prutz, welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dan and PJ. This is something different for me. I've never been on a video podcast, so.
Well, you'll be on audio too, because we put it out on all the major platforms as well, so all over the place. But we wanted to have you on. Obviously, most people know you as a photographer. You hang out at a lot of the different tracks. I know I've seen you at Wausau, Golden Sands, a bunch of different places. But I want to know, what's your origin story? How did you even get involved in racing?
Well, I'm not a photographer. I that kind of just happened. So I've had two jobs in 36 years, two employers, Imperial Industries and Siemens, which is in Rothschild across from Tile, and 26 years at the last job. And one of the requirements I've always had is to, when I travel as an inspector, is to take photos. So I've always had a camera. And 26 years ago, I was traveling around with a film camera, and then got into the very first digital cameras. Literally had the first ones, and I wrecked a bunch of them, and Canons were more durable. That's why I'm a Canon guy. But anyway, the photography was there. But where it really started was I decided I had all these safety points to go buy a decent camera, which at the time was the brand new Rebels, just a straight Rebel, which you couldn't get $3 for in a rummage sale right now. But that Rebel I took to a hockey game. And why was I at a hockey game? Because my kid talked me into it. You got to hear this. This is funny. I'm not a hockey fan. I don't like hockey. I don't know hockey. I don't know what a blue line is, but my kid was all after me. Come to a hockey game. Come to a hockey game. There's blood on the ice. There's fighting. There's this and that. Finally, he says to me, Dad, they serve point beer there. Okay. I'll go to a hockey game, but I'm going to bring this new camera I bought to take pictures of him as he grows up. I think he was 10 at the time. And I'm going to learn how to play with this camera, at least while I'm watching hockey that I don't know nothing about. Well, got pretty good at it with that hockey team because ended up being the team photographer for 8 years, taking photos, giving them away. And it was a great learning curve. A lot of drinking and photography and crazy stories. And along the way, I met Kurt Keene, which I believe everybody who knows Kurt Keene, and started getting better at getting better equipment, started really enjoying it. And I tell you what, if you want to learn action photography, try going to some of these old rinks that had only tungsten lights and in fast moving. And it was really, really difficult to learn my cameras in manual mode the hard way with no instruction. Well, anyway, Kurt Keene, during the summer, I bought a new lens and wanted to try it out. And Kurt Keene says, well, come over to State Park Speedway. We got to practice on Tuesday. And boom, I heard motors running again. I ain't been to a racetrack in a long time. But I'm like, why am I not here every day? And then Kurt Keene ended up taking me and introducing me to all the track owners, as far as way as Jefferson. And he introduced me to every track owner and got me in for free, and I'm taking photos and having the time of my life. And I think it was 2014. And then then one day he walks me over to Wayne, who owns Marshfield Motor Speedway, Brevik. And he didn't ask Wayne, he didn't ask me. Kurt walks me up to Wayne and introduces us to each other and says, Wayne, this is your photographer for Friday night. QC, or at the time I was William. William, you're the photographer. And that was that. Next thing you know, I'm getting paid to be a photographer. And I was scared shitless. And I don't get scared. Okay. I don't get scared of anything. I travel the world, go down dark alleys for fun. But I was nervous of screwing up somebody's big moment, right? I
Mm.
mean, they have just did everything to get that at victory lane. This photo is important. It's a keepsake. And you've got 3 seconds to get it right. Less than that half the time. And I was scared terribly. But by the time a few weeks had gone by, I figured out a rhythm. Lo and behold, Derek Kraus comes into victory lane at age 13 in a super late. At the time, the youngest kid to win a super late comes into victory lane. I put the board down that says you're a feature winner, put the trophy on the hood, put the flag by the window, jump back, make sure I got the camera setting. He comes flying out of that car, I think, before the wheels stopped. He's up on the window. He's got his fist in the air. I got the photo of that exact moment, and boom, next thing you know, that photo got bought up by all the news agencies. It went viral nationwide, and I was hooked. That's how I became a track photographer.
That is awesome.
Kurt
I love.
Keen's fault.
There's a lot of things that are Kurt Keen's fault, but that's a beautiful thing right there. That
Yeah.
really is. He's a good guy. He is a good guy, and you had to have made just a boatload of really great friends throughout the years, getting to know the drivers, the teams, the owners.
Oh, absolutely. And anybody can do that at a racetrack because it's a traveling family the way it goes on these racetracks. And my first friends were the staff at Marshfield, which ended up being the staff at many of the other tracks. Jason Torney and Jerry come to mind, but everybody. Um, you meet some of the friendliest people in the business, working these tracks. And a shout out to all the people who staff these tracks to make them happen. It's a dedication. It's in their blood. But yeah, made a lot of friends with a lot of the drivers. And as a photographer, my God, it turned out to be unbelievable what I could get away with. If I'm on a team, one of the super late model teams, I can't just go walking in all the other trailers, walking in the pits of all the other competition. But as a photographer or a Kurt Keane that has the same advantage, you can walk into everybody's trailer and talk to everybody, so long as you don't repeat anything that you've heard anybody say about the other guy. And boy, I hear it. I hear this guy say something about that guy and that guy yelling about this guy, and I'm like, interesting.
All secrets die with you, right?
Yep. Yeah, don't, I'm in trouble if I start repeating anything.
Yeah. So, what would you say is your greatest gift? What's your greatest God-given gift?
uh, to tell the truth, to
Hmm.
point out the truth, to point to the fact and the truth. The truth matters. Love mathematics because it's the only true honesty. Mathematics don't lie. And so, as a world traveling quality control person, that's what I'm after every time I travel. I'm going to get to the bottom of what's true. And I can sniff out bullshit so fast you couldn't even believe it. You would not want to play poker with me. I can tell you that. Um, so yeah, the truth. So, and what's more true than a photo? So I love to freeze frame beautiful moments, and here's the fact of that moment. It's just the whole photography thing is a diversion from that. Uh, I want to, before you ask another question, I'm going to confess something. I'm 11 years sober, 11 and a half or something like that. But I used to go, a little bit, okay, a lot. But I always took a camera with me when I would go on let's call them walkabouts. My wife and I used to call them staggers too. I go staggering around these cities around the world. Actually, that's Singapore in the background. That's Marina Bay Sands. I've walked that drunk as hell a lot of times over the years, but now I've walked sober too. But I've been there so many times for Formula One races, everything else. I know that place like the back of my hand. But the thing of it is, I always had a camera. Always had a camera with me, and those photos were terrible, but I have them. And so now it's fun to to go around with a sharper eye and photograph these places around the world. And I'm glad that I've built a following for it. And I do appreciate everybody that does follow my photography.
Yeah. I there's no shame in what you've done. My husband, Toby, he's also been sober now for almost 40 years, and he will tell you that he's done much greater work with a clear head. And
Well,
he will hear more and see more and understand more with a clear head. So, congratulations to you. That's a pretty cool achievement to have 11 years sobriety. Was it the thing about seeing your pictures and knowing that you could do better? Is that what prompted you?
no, I just got tired of it. I mean, I have to be the best at everything I can do. And in Wisconsin, drinking was like a requirement growing up around here, right? You're required to drink. And so I wanted to be better at it, and I could drink more than you. Well,
Mm.
have full, jokes on me on that one, right? I got so good that I could drink a liter a day of vodka and nobody'd know. And I just finally said, I'm not doing this anymore. And
Wow.
just that's it. Quit on my own. Actually, recovery.org is where I went online and read and discovered, got some support from online people who understood the degree that I was at. But you know, so I got sober. But here's what happened with photography, because the photography really took off after I got sober. But there's 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 a problem there in that the taking pictures is drinking
Mm.
and editing is the hangover. And if you take too many photos, man, it's a heck of a hangover. Now I got 3,000 photos,
What do you average shoot at a racetrack each night?
1,200.
Wow.
Yeah, but in fairness, I might decide, okay, there's a subject, and then hit it 12 times before I get it the way I wanted it, because nowadays a digital, okay, I'm there, but not okay. Then that, you can improve it. And so generally, when you go to edit, it's somewhere's in the end. It's one of the last ones that you're going to keep. So you can go through and weed it out pretty quick.
I know
Hmm.
if I take about 700 pictures, I think 70 of them might be usable for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take less, but with digital, it doesn't matter. You can just keep shooting. Um, what I don't do is put it on rapid fire, 14 frames a second, because then you're gonna have, that's like doing shots of tequila.
Yeah.
You're gonna be have a massive hangover.
I do remember when uh, my friend who he was a photographer at Raceway Park in Shakopee. He still does Elko, and when he first switched to digital, he called it the digital disease because he would end up missing photos because he would take the picture and then he could look at it right away, and then he'd miss what was happening. And you couldn't do that with film. You couldn't see it right away. So it takes a while to not to look at see what you got all the time.
It is a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
If I have the second, I will look at that, but for the most of the part, I try to, I know I have it and I don't look back. I will look at my camera more often just to make sure I didn't bump a setting.
What is the hardest event for you to shoot and why?
Um, well, it was definitely hockey. When they all had these old tungsten light, but now there's been a huge change with energy savings with these newer lighting systems, and it's bright and white, and that made it a lot easier. But then in hockey games, you've got the net in the way, or glass in the way, and it's hard to get good shots. And if you do get right behind the bench or something where you're not having the net and glass, well, then you really got to be sharp because that puck can be coming right at your head anytime. I think hockey's always been the most difficult for me, and but I don't get back to it much because it's not because I don't like the hockey. It's just that by the time winter comes, I just want to sit in my chair because this I was doing as many as 5 nights in a row last summer. I was doing 3 tracks full time for the last 3 years, and that was never in the plan. It's Kurt Keen's fault. Just to remind everybody, just in case anybody forgot, because he introduced me to the Wimmers, and all of a sudden Tom Lowes decided, you know what, this is a good opportunity to retire. You can take it over. And boom, next thing you know, because Tom Lowes did it at 26 years.
Wow.
By the way, Tom Lowes, you suck at retiring. I'm gonna, I'll never be able to retire from any of this inspection or photography. And even if I tried, I'd only do it as good as Rich Bickle, because he can't retire either.
He struggles with that too.
But
So, what are the tracks that you are regulars at then?
Well, I was doing State Park on Thursday, Friday at Golden Sands, and Saturday dirt track racing. And talk about difficult things to do. Tomahawk was difficult if the track is dusty, because the lighting still was the old lighting. And then if you got dust in the air, I mean, dirt track, I mean, that's like the dumbest thing for a photographer to go do is dirt track photography. You want to wreck good equipment, go to a dirt track. That was a losing proposition the whole way, but I could never really say no and stop and get away from it. I'm not sour that I got away from it and it closed. It's like, oh, that's kind of a blessing for me. I'm done. I got Saturday nights back. My wife's happy. We get to do things on Saturday again. So that needed to end for me anyway. Every Saturday up at Tomahawk, but I was doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then sometimes there'd be a special race on Sunday and a special race on Monday, and I'd do 5 in a row. And I think I did 6 once because I did a Milwaukee Mile and then Slinger the same day, which is stupid because I'm just exhausted. But it's the only exercise I'm getting. I should mention that I'm sitting in my home office. You can't tell because I have the screen on. I'm looking at you on one monitor. To my right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more monitors, and another two more computers, and that's for Siemens Energy work. But I'm home office now ever since COVID. It's like 4 years now, 4 years, and do not ever wish to have home office. I don't, at least if you're going to an office, you can walk across the parking lot, right? You can go walk through the factory. I'm now going to the mailbox knowing the mailman didn't go, just so I have something to walk to and back, so the photography is forced exercise. Okay, I've committed myself to go do this, and now I got to be on my feet for 6, 8 hours, And that first weekend, I got my butt kicked. I was out of shape.
The first one's always hard for everybody to get back into the groove. There's something that you do at Golden Sands, and I don't know if it was your idea or whose it was, but it's awesome. And that's when they get into Victory Lane and then that big fireball goes up behind. Was that your idea?
No. This is you talk about great people that you get to meet in racing. The Smileys, I love them to death. Plover's my number one track. That is all Cody. And in talking his brother Shane into just about doing anything. I love that what Shane said about Cody is that I'd rather if he was a crack dealer. This is ridiculous, because for the things he has to do to support him in racing, and if anybody didn't know what they had to go through yesterday morning, starting at 3:30 in the morning, just to pump out that track and get it race ready. It's God help anybody who wants to be a promoter, but that was Cody's idea, and it took a while to work it out and fine tune it. But between Shane and I and Cody, we got it down to a system where we will know within, it's not like guaranteed that anybody's going to get a fireball. It's a split second thing where Cody will radio to Shane, say, we're doing a fireball on this winner here. And Shane will then give me a point to the ground signal. You can't really see my arm, but he'll point to the ground, and that tells me that this is a fireball. And I give them a thumbs up. Then I got to instruct the driver, what to do, and how to do it. And then when my left arm goes up, uh, Cody then sees that, radio Shane, fires it off, and then I gotta get the shot. And that is the most difficult photo for anybody to take, especially at night. It's kind of easy Monday because it's during the day, but at night I've got to light up the driver and the car, get that in focus without the fireball being overexposed. That's telling the camera to do two different things in the same photo. It's extremely difficult, and sometimes it takes an enormous amount of post editing to fix it. But yeah,
That's a
we've
cool
got
shot. It's a
yeah.
really cool shot. And you've been referencing Monday, so we should probably let folks know that we are actually recording this on Tuesday, May 28th. So Monday, yesterday, according to our time of recording, that was the big Memorial Day race. And it got cut short by rain, unfortunately. That's got to be a bummer for you because you pretty much noodle around down in the pit or in the infield. So when it starts to rain, there's not a whole lot of places in that Golden Sands to take cover.
No, and so I got really great equipment, and it could take some moisture. But boy, you don't want to put $20,000 worth of stuff in the rain, no matter what. And yeah, but the whole theory is, and the reason I take the motorcycle to a racetrack, it doesn't rain on race day, so I not should. Uh, but anyway, I want to, as long as you bring up the Memorial Day race, because some people were mad that it was only 31 laps, and that happened. It happens. Okay. What they don't know is all the things that built up to that. There was events cut out of it. There was B mains cut out of it. There was other things taken out of the program to speed the program up. They're watching the weather. They're talking to the meteorologists. They have an idea of what time that rain's coming, and they plan it out. And we believe we're going to make it. And all of a sudden, damn it, the plan's not going to work. And you're already committed. You're already down this road. In hindsight, yeah, you can go back and make a better plan, but that's not the way the world works. They looked at it, made the best effort, thought we were going to get it all in by the rain, and it didn't work. Only got 31 laps.
I think anybody who attends or is part of an outdoor event knows that you are at God's mercy. It's, we are not in charge. God is
Well,
of the
and
rain.
if Kyle Larson didn't know it, he knows it now.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't that have been fun if you could have been his official documenter for that?
Well, that is a dream I always think about. Is what would I do? Well, I will never retire. I will always have to be doing something. So, if I'm not doing a track photography, hooking up with a team and being a team photographer and traveling, or I follow some billionaire fishermen and being their photographer, going around the world doing the marlin fishing. I think about those dreams, but the real dream for any race photographer is to be a Formula One photographer.
Mm.
So that I love Formula One. Been to many of the tracks.
I bet that's a special setting on the camera to record something moving at 230 some odd miles an hour.
Well, they don't try to do them on the main street. You don't photograph them on the stretch. Only the helicopter shoots them on the stretch. But most of them, they all catch them in the corners. Um, yeah, you're talking about the digital. Well, no, Dan was mentioning the digital disease of looking at the camera. I was watching that in Shanghai Formula One. There was about six photographers. They'd take a picture and they all look, and it was almost synchronized. It was funny. They'd all take the picture, look, take the picture, and it was funny.
Good stuff. Can you tell us a time when you were shooting something that you felt like a kid again?
Oh, I feel like a kid all the time. I my going joke is I'm 24 years old, but unfortunately my knees and my back are telling me a different story. And but no, I'm always a kid at heart. I hope I never lose that. I love kids in general, and I love the youth at a track. And you'll always see that I'll be looking to photograph, and that keeps me coming to these races too. Is the great Bando series. We had a great 300 midget series at Tomahawk. I love the kids. Uh, I had a bunch of kids up in Tomahawk where they just all know me as grandpa. They adopted me as a grandpa, which is pretty cool. You know,
That's sweet.
yeah.
That's sweet. Do you have a question, Dan? I'd let you go.
No, no, I don't have any. I was going to bring up too. I'm always fascinated at the number of people in racing that are also affiliated with hockey. So now you're another one to add to the list, but like Kurt, Matt Panier. There's been so
Vincent,
many people
yeah.
that I grew up with at Elko that played hockey and were race car drivers or were coaches in hockey and were officials at the track. And it's just I think the venue is somewhat similar. It's an oval. There's contact, and all that stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that because now, I'll add to that list Dave Callum, from
Coleman,
Oh, in
yep. Dave
Milwaukee.
Coleman. Hmm.
yep, does hockey. Vinny, the videographer that we have, they
Oh,
all
okay.
learn to love. Vinny is also does hockey, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we all know how to set our cameras for high speed action photos.
Yeah.
Could be that. But seriously, I think just in this upper Midwest area, that's kind of became a sport in the winter time because what else are you going to do, right?
Yeah,
the,
yeah, they're kind of similar aspects, and then the seasons don't typically conflict. So
Hmm.
I'll give you another similarity that I always saw about hockey and racing is that the hockey player goes out on that ice in front of the audience and plays his heart out, and sometimes only to get a fist in the face, putting his everything on the line for ridicule or applause. And my God, if you've been to a papermaker team, you can get ridiculed hard. Make you want to go cry in the locker room the way that some of the fans get. But that's tradition. But you put yourself out there for ridicule or applause. It takes courage, and that's the same as these car drivers. No matter what class of racing, they're putting themselves out there, doing the best they can for ridicule or applause. And that takes courage. It's same, not too unlike being in a band. To go
Mm.
on stage and play an instrument. So I admire all three of those things. Anybody who can have that courage to just go out and try to do your best.
Have you ever raced? Have you ever been behind the wheel?
Technically, I'm a retired professional car driver because one time a racer because one night I entered my UTV and Tomahawk in a UTV event and made 20 bucks and never raced again. And since I made money, that makes me professional. And since I never raced again, I'm retired. So I'm a retired professional racer.
undefeated.
Yeah. But no, in there are I sit there in the infield and watch some of these things, thinking about what I would race, what I would be interested to race, and certainly the legends look fun. Some of those pure stocks and dirt track look fun. I would love to take a 600 wide open and a dirt track and just go wide open and trust the wing. That thrills me to watch, but in all cases, I don't think my lower back can really take any of that pounding and that
Mm.
bouncing. I mean, I've got like a glass spine back in my lower back. So I'll just settle for my luxury seat on my Harley. That's fine enough. I can go get my thrill of speed on that. Sometimes I might go 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit.
Just two or three.
That's all I'm going to admit to. It's being recorded.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, what is probably the proudest? I mean, you talked about the Kraus photo that you got, but has there ever been a time when you're going through, as you called it, the hangover, as you're editing your all the photos that you took crazily, that you're looking through and you found like a crazy, like, oh my gosh, look at that gem I ended up with. I didn't even realize how cool that is.
Uh, yeah, there's thousands of photos that I love. But no, there's no like one. They're like my children, and I really can't favor a photo over another because it's funny how photos work that way. But proudest though is I'm proud to watch some of these kids grow up smartly, and become better people and become more outgoing. It's a lot of fun watching. Been a lot of fun watching Parker, grow up from bandos and into NASCAR. It's been a lot of fun watching Laban Vandergeest from bandos up to where he is now, and just smiling ear to ear to myself while watching him so articulately present himself now. And on the front stretch at Jefferson the other night, it's fun watching them get better. It's fun watching all those kids better themselves. In proudest moment though was about 2015. It's not to do with photography, it's with racing. In 2015, I saw it in Ty, and I think a lot of people did back then. You saw something different in Ty Majeski, and I'll never forget it. It was turn 4 at Golden Sands, and the way he was underneath the back bumper of another car, it reminded me of the way Dale Earnhardt would do it. And be just full speed, full control, but only inch off the other guy. And it was, that's where the whole intimidator thing came from. And I saw it. He could do that without losing his car, without touching the other car, and just be that touch better than everybody else. And I saw it then, and I said, my God, that's just pure talent what he's going there. And so I'm proud that I was right, you know. And I chased him all over the country to see if it was Toby's, must just have great equipment, right? He's just lucky he's got a great car.
That's what we keep hearing.
So I chased him all the way to Governor's Cup to Rattler, and it was at the Rattler I think in 2017. Then I'm watching, and we're at the last 50 lap break. There was back then you did 3 controlled breaks at 100, 100 and so you had two controlled breaks, 100 laps, and then you got a 50 lap shootout. And I'm right in the pits, and they're discussing what to do. And Toby's arms are like this, arms in the air. Sorry, this camera just can't see my hands. But Toby throws his hands in the air, and I can't hear them. And Ty makes the decision on the setup that night. Never led. He's been 4th or 5th the whole night. Never could get further than I think 4th at best, but mostly running 5th the whole day. And he makes a last ditch decision on how to set that car up, and goes out there and starts jumping on the restarts, just launching on the restarts. And once he got in a lead with that setup that he had changed to, bye-bye. Won that, and it just made me proud that I was right, that it was purely his talent, and then he goes to Chicago and he takes a C grade car, ARCA car, and puts it in victory lane in ARCA. And I'm just glad that, somebody would, got into NASCAR with talent, not with money,
Yeah, that is kind of the ongoing trend these days, is you got to have the checkbook to do it. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad you had that. You have one of the best seats in the house when you're in the infield shooting. Do you always go to the infield no matter what track you're at?
No, I don't. I'm trying to break that habit because I'm trying to get the viewers other perspectives, and that's why I launch a drone once in a while. I was at Madison last spring, and I did just the outside, just shooting through the fence from the outside, just to experiment and try different perspectives. I didn't love it. But it gets pretty boring too to get just to the inside. But the problem with Madison, you're either in the whole night or out the whole night. And that's kind of somewhat the same with Golden Sands. There's no crossing. So I'd like to always try to get variety. On that note, in 2014, when I started this, if anybody's watching who knows race photography, go back up to about 2012, 2014, all you saw ever was somebody had a picture of themselves in victory lane. That's it. That's all there was. Victory lane photos. That's the only thing. But social media was still just taking off. And I'm like thinking about this, and I had this idea from hockey, but it didn't, it wasn't going to work there. I said, I can get somebody to pay me to take photos and put their name on the photo, bottom of the photo. That's what I'm going to do. And so I wrote a whole program, a pitch to State Park, and came up with this. You pay me to be at your track. You're going to give me administrative uh, um, rights to your page. And I did the same thing with Tomahawk, and I become an admin for your page, and I put pictures of not just Victory Lane, but everybody, the fun, the variety from outside the track, inside the track, grandstands, food, everybody. The fun we're having, a variety, a photo essay of the night. Put that in a folder for the day and put the track name on it. Let it go out there across the internet and let everybody see what fun we're having each night. And then do it quick. Trick is you got to be quick. And
Yeah.
so I would like, and nobody else does this, but I'm the only person I think that gets the photos done that night.
I noticed that from Monday of Golden Sands, Memorial Day. You had those pictures up like right away. I shared them on the Racing Nuggets
And
page.
I appreciate that. And so I usually get them out about, takes me, once I sit down here at the computer, takes me about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours to run through and look at them, do any quick edits, and boom, out there. Uh,
Nice.
that's that's a lot. That's speed editing.
For
Um,
sure.
but that's the trick though, is it's social media uh, presence. So suddenly, what Tomahawk and State Park learned is that their uh, fan following and the people that follow the page went way up, and then they didn't have to pay for all that radio ads, print ads, TV ads to get people to the racetrack. People were just following the page to get all the news. So suddenly it was a bargain to pay me.
So I hope you raised your rates then.
Not a lot, but the exceptions to that now was that Golden Sands preferred that I shared on my page and just put it on my page.
Mm.
And then because State Park is closing, I'm putting them all on my page. I'm building my page up. I'm gonna try to get the 5,000 followers. Please follow QC Willy Photography.
There we
Kurt
go.
Keen said so.
And if Kurt said it, well, I won't say, well, if Kurt said it, it's full of mischief, but well intentioned. So, yes. So,
Yeah,
is there, go ahead.
he's still one of my favorite subjects at a racetrack. Try to get pictures of Kurt
Oh,
King
yeah.
because it all started with him believing in me, and what a wonderful thing that is, right? And Kurt's good at that with everybody. He believes in you, and he's a good man.
Yeah, he
So,
makes everybody feel comfortable and welcome.
yeah.
That's a good quality for a track announcer. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, is there a track, Willie, that you would like to go shoot at, but you have never been there to shoot?
Well, that's not fair. Formula One, Monaco. I would love
Ah,
to watch on TV, but uh, no, I have the means to go anywhere I want if I wanted to shoot at a racetrack. I wouldn't. It would be pretty cool. I used to sit with um, Steve Lake. God, I forgot his name. Lake, not Lake. He passed on, an old photographer that we used to hang out at a lot of our tracks.
Oh,
And
Russ?
Russ,
Yeah.
thank you. And so he had a pass to go to Indy, and he was at the Indy 500 every year. Had a media pass, and he's on the pit road. And I sit and talk to him about that, and that would be fun. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
cool. Well, maybe next year. I hear Kyle Larson might be back there again.
Oh, he's Kyle Larson's going to be doing it. I don't know if anybody's seen the post on my page about the Indy double. But there's, as far as Father Gruba and I know, there's only one priest to do the Memorial Day double.
That's true.
And if you want to know more, go to my page or read Father Gruba's books.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I'm going to let you have the final word. Is there a story that most people don't know about you that you'd like to share on the podcast? I'll leave it open for your choosing.
Um, yeah, a lot of people, you just don't know the result of hard working. Okay, you're looking at a guy who started out sandblasting at $8.25 an hour, and now travels the world at substantially more money, and without a college degree. So you just have to continually work at it. And so my list of certifications on LinkedIn is pretty long, but I'm one of only about 1,000 people in the world to ever pass the senior exam for welding inspection. I know a shit ton about welding and quality control, but mostly I know bullshit, and I can travel the world and set things straight.
Nice. QC Willy, bullshit detector. I love it. Well, we appreciate you taking time to join us here on the Racing Nuggets podcast. Encouraging folks to follow your Facebook page, QC Willy Photography, right?
Yes, but I do have one more thing.
Okay.
We need more young people to get into race photography. We need more young people to get into welding inspection too. I can't retire right now because there's nobody else that knows. There's literally nobody else that followed my path in an inspection that I know of. You need more people to go to aws.org and become welding inspectors. We need more people to learn photography and go and become an event photographer. And oh my gosh, if I didn't mention it, I need to. If you want to improve your photography, whether you're just an amateur photographer and you don't have to have great equipment, if you have $1,000 phone, you have a great camera. If you want to improve your photo skills, check us out at Focal Point Camera Club. That's focalpointcameraclub.org on Facebook, and consider joining our Central Wisconsin group, and we will help you become a better photographer. It'll be painful at first when you get through your first critique and you find out the photo you love wasn't that great. But this screen keeps going up. But once you hang out with us in Focal Point Camera Club, you'll become a better photographer and know why your photo's great.
Thanks again, QC. We appreciate you on here, and good luck the rest of the season in all of your endeavors.
Come see me in Victory Lane.